132. That is the number of enemy soldiers captured by a single American corporal and his small, depleted patrol in the crucible of the First World War. It is a number that defies belief, a statistic whispered in disbelief across the trenches of the Western Front. On October 8, 1918, amidst the thunderous chaos of the Meuse-Argonne offensive, an unassuming man from the Tennessee mountains would achieve a feat of arms so extraordinary, it would etch his name into the annals of military legend. But how could one man, leading a handful of exhausted soldiers, turn the tide against a well-entrenched, formidable enemy? The stage is set in the rugged, unforgiving terrain of the Argonne Forest, northeastern France. It is the autumn of 1918, and the Great War, a conflict that has devoured millions of lives, grinds towards its brutal conclusion. The Meuse-Argonne offensive, the largest American operation of the war, rages with relentless fury, a desperate push to shatter the German lines and force an end to the bloodshed. Deep within this maelstrom, we find acting Corporal Alvin York, of Company G, 328th Infantry Regiment, 82nd Division, United States Army. He hails from the remote, mountainous region of Pall Mall, Fentress County, Tennessee, a place of hard work, deep faith, and skilled hunting. Born on December 13, 1887, Alvin York was the third of 11 children. His early life was marked by subsistence farming and his father's work as a blacksmith. With minimal formal schooling, Alvin York honed his skills in the wilderness, becoming an expert marksman, a talent born of necessity to provide for his family. Before the war, Alvin York was known for heavy drinking and frequent brawls. However, a profound religious conversion between 1914 and 1915 led him to join the Church of Christ in Christian Union, a denomination that strictly forbade violence. This newfound pacifism presented Alvin York with an agonizing dilemma when the United States entered World War I. He initially sought exemption from military service as a conscientious objector, citing his deeply held religious beliefs. His appeals were denied 3 times, in part because his church was not officially recognized as an established pacifist sect. After lengthy discussions with his battalion commander, Major Edward Buxton, and his company commander, Captain Edward Danforth, who referenced biblical passages that could support military service, Alvin York ultimately decided to serve, concluding that his faith was not incompatible with fighting for a just cause. He joined the 82nd Division, known as the All-American Division because its soldiers represented all 48 states, and arrived in France in May 1918. By September, he had seen action in the Saint-Mihiel offensive and earned a promotion to corporal, commanding his own squad. Now, on this pivotal October morning, Alvin York and his comrades face an enemy dug in with a tenacity born of desperation, threatening to halt the entire American advance. The mission assigned to Company G, 328th Infantry Regiment, is daunting, bordering on suicidal. Their objective: infiltrate German lines, neutralize a heavily fortified machine gun position, and seize control of the Dickovo Railroad, a vital German supply artery. The terrain itself is an obstacle. The Argonne Forest is a labyrinth of dense woods, steep ravines, and treacherous slopes, perfectly suited for defense. German forces have transformed it into a formidable stronghold, bristling with machine gun nests and entrenched infantry. They have positioned over 50 machine guns and several hundred troops to defend the valley leading to the railroad. The American forces are attacking up a funnel-shaped valley, a natural killing zone where every advance is met with a torrent of deadly fire. Previous attempts by other units to take these positions, particularly Hill 223 overlooking the town of Châtel-Chiéry, have proven catastrophically costly. The southern slope of Hill 223 is steep and cliff-like, making direct assault under fire nearly impossible. Liaison between adjacent American units is poor, risking friendly fire if attacks are not perfectly coordinated. Adding to the complexity, the American patrols' maps are in French, leading to navigational difficulties and the very real possibility of stumbling into unforeseen enemy strongholds. The German defenses are not merely static positions. They are designed for a war of attrition, intended to break the will and deplete the numbers of any attacking force. The German 2nd Württemberg Landwehr Division, including elements of the 120th, 122nd, and 125th Infantry Regiments, along with the 47th Machine Gun Company, are tasked with holding these critical positions. They have been engaged in intense fighting since the Meuse-Argonne offensive began on September 26, but they are dug in with a determination to resist. The American command, pushing for a decisive breakthrough, demands aggressive action despite the overwhelming odds. The men of Company G understand the gravity of their task. They are facing an enemy that has meticulously prepared for this assault, an enemy that holds the high ground and possesses superior firepower in these specific locations. No one believed it was possible to take these positions by a straightforward attack. They were about to be proven catastrophically wrong about what a small, determined group could achieve. The morning of October 8, 1918, dawns cold and shrouded in a thick, insulating fog across the Aire River Valley near Châtel-Chéhéry, France. This dense mist offers a temporary cloak of concealment, a fleeting advantage for the American advance. At approximately 6:10 a.m., Acting Corporal Alvin York, part of a patrol consisting of 17 soldiers from Company G, 328th Infantry Regiment, begins its movement. Their objective is clear: penetrate German lines, silence the relentless machine guns, and seize the Dickavel Railroad. The patrol, led by Acting Sergeant Bernard Early, navigates the treacherous terrain, initially moving undetected through the fog and dense undergrowth. Their stealth pays off. Deep behind enemy lines, the American patrol stumbles upon a German field headquarters and a substantial group of German soldiers. The surprise is complete. Before the Germans can react effectively, the Americans swiftly engage, capturing approximately 80 to 90 German prisoners, including several officers. The initial phase of the mission, against all odds, appears to be a resounding success. The American soldiers begin the arduous task of consolidating their prisoners, securing them in a shallow ravine. However, the battlefield is a place of sudden, brutal reversals. As the patrol secures their captives, a hidden German machine gun nest, positioned high on Hill 223, known to the Germans as Schöne Aussicht, or Pleasant View, unleashes a devastating volley of fire. The torrent of bullets rips through the American ranks. 6 American soldiers are killed instantly, and 3 others are severely wounded in the initial burst. Among the casualties is Acting Sergeant Bernard Early, the patrol's leader, and Corporals Murray Savage and Cutting. The patrol is decimated, pinned down, and leaderless. Chaos threatens to engulf the remaining men. In the immediate aftermath, with the air thick with the smell of cordite and the cries of the wounded, Acting Corporal Alvin York finds himself the highest-ranking non-commissioned officer left standing. With only 7 unwounded men remaining under his command, Alvin York faces a desperate situation. The German machine guns continue to pour incessant, deadly fire upon their position, threatening to annihilate the entire patrol, prisoners and all. Alvin York makes a split-second decision that will define his legend. He orders the remaining 7 men to guard the captured Germans and to return fire, providing suppressive cover. Then, with a profound sense of purpose, he begins to move. Alone, using the skills he honed hunting in the Tennessee mountains, Alvin York slowly and deliberately works his way through the dense undergrowth and up the slope towards the ridge where the enemy machine guns are positioned. He moves with a calm precision, a hunter stalking his prey. The German machine guns are spitting fire, cutting down the brush all around him. The noise is deafening, a cacophony of explosions and shouts. Alvin York does not have time to seek extensive cover, to dodge behind every tree, or to lie down. He engages the machine gunners directly. As German soldiers expose their heads to aim and fire their weapons, Alvin York, with his Springfield rifle, picks them off one by one with deadly accuracy. He is sharpshooting, methodically breaking the German line of fire. Audience question. Imagine standing in Alvin York's boots at that moment. Your patrol is shattered, your comrades are dead or wounded, and you are facing an unyielding hail of machine gun fire from an unseen enemy. What deep well of courage would you draw upon to advance alone against such overwhelming odds? Tell me in the comments. Alvin York's relentless, accurate fire begins to sow confusion among the German defenders. They cannot comprehend how a single American rifleman is systematically silencing their positions. The sheer audacity of his solo assault is beyond their tactical understanding. As he continues his advance, a group of 5 German soldiers, armed with bayonets, launch a desperate charge against him, attempting to overwhelm him in close quarters. ALV. In York, without hesitation, draws his Colt .45 automatic pistol. With calm, deadly precision, he fires, dropping each of the charging Germans before they can reach him. Not a single shot misses its mark. He defeats the attackers without sustaining any injury himself. His actions are a testament to his exceptional marksmanship and his ability to remain composed under extreme pressure. Meanwhile, within the German lines, 1st Lieutenant Paul Jürgen Vollmer, commanding the 1st Battalion of the 120th Reserve Infantry Regiment, experiences a growing sense of alarm. His men, part of the 2nd Württemberg Landwehr Division, are positioned to defend Hill 223, a vital strategic point. They have been under relentless pressure since the start of the Meuse-Argonne offensive, and morale among some units, particularly the 210th Prussian Reserve Infantry, is reported to be low. Vollmer's adjutant, Lieutenant Karl Glass, had reported rumors of American penetrations, but Vollmer had dismissed them, confident in his well-entrenched positions. Now, however, the machine gun fire from his own positions is erratic, punctuated by alarming silences. From his vantage point, Vollmer observes individual German soldiers falling, seemingly at random, without a clear target for return fire. He cannot see the lone American responsible. The reports from his gunners are fragmented and confused. They are everywhere, and there are too many. Vollmer, seeing his machine gunners being picked off one by one, believes his positions are under attack by a much larger, highly skilled American force that has managed to outflank him. The speed and surprise of the American infiltration have caught his unit completely off guard. He empties his Luger pistol, firing towards the general direction of the American threat, but fails to hit anything. His initial assessment is that a substantial American detachment is systematically dismantling his defenses, a perception fueled by the rapid, concentrated casualties his machine gun nests are sustaining. He orders riflemen to reinforce the machine gunners, urging them to aim more carefully, but the unseen sniper continues his devastating work. The German commander is wrong. It is not an entire detachment, but a single, focused rifleman, Alvin York, who is systematically eliminating his positions. Alvin York presses his attack, moving from one machine gun position to the next. He is yelling at the Germans in the nests to surrender, not wanting to kill more than he has to, but understanding that it is a matter of survival. It was they or I. He traverses approximately 25 to 30 yards, silencing position after position. The German cries of alarm and shouts of command echo through the ravine, adding to the chaotic din. The German officer, 1st Lieutenant Paul Jürgen Vollmer, now fully aware of the mounting losses and the seemingly unstoppable force confronting him, makes a desperate decision. He sees his soldiers falling, his machine guns silenced, and his command disintegrating. He approaches Alvin York, shouts in English, and offers to surrender his entire unit. Alvin York, with his rifle still hot and his pistol in hand, accepts the surrender. The scale of the surrender is astonishing. 4 German officers and 128 enlisted men emerge from their positions, laying down their arms. Alvin York and his 7 remaining, exhausted men now find themselves in charge of a column of 132 German prisoners. The journey back to the American lines is fraught with peril. As Alvin York marches his column of prisoners, they encounter other German units. Displaying remarkable presence of mind, Alvin York forces his German captives to call out to their countrymen, instructing them to surrender. This tactic leverages the confusion and disarray already sown by his assault, leading to additional surrenders along the route. The patrol, with its improbable haul of prisoners, navigates the dangerous terrain. They are still behind enemy lines, and the possibility of encountering German reinforcements or being targeted by friendly fire is very real. Each step is a calculated risk. Alvin York maintains strict control over his prisoners, ensuring they comply with his orders. The captured Germans are disarmed, their weapons adding to the growing collection of spoils. As they near the American front lines, the sight of Alvin York leading such a massive column of enemy soldiers sends ripples of disbelief and astonishment through the American ranks. Brigadier General Julian Robert Lindsay, Alvin York's brigade commander, reportedly exclaims, "Well, York, I hear you have captured the whole German army." Alvin York, ever humble, replies, "No sir. I got only 132. The immediate impact of Alvin York's actions is profound. The German machine guns that had pinned down the 328th Infantry Regiment are now silent. This allows the American forces to resume their attack, pushing north and west. By the end of the day, the 328th Infantry succeeds in capturing the Decauville Railroad, a critical objective that had seemed unattainable just hours before. The full significance of Alvin York's individual bravery and skill reverberates across the battlefield. His ability to adapt, to utilize his unique marksmanship, and to maintain composure under the most extreme duress is unparalleled. The capture of 132 German soldiers, including 4 officers, and the silencing of numerous machine gun nests, represents a tactical victory that directly contributes to the broader success of the Meuse-Argonne offensive. The news of Alvin York's exploit spreads rapidly through the American expeditionary forces. It becomes a beacon of inspiration, a testament to the individual courage and effectiveness of the American soldier. His name is whispered with awe and reverence among his comrades. From a reluctant draftee who wrestled with his conscience, Alvin York has transformed into a living legend on the battlefield. The patrol's return marks a turning point, not just for Company G, but for the entire sector. The momentum shifts, and the German defenders, already strained, face renewed pressure. The element of surprise, coupled with Alvin York's decisive action, has created a breach in their defenses that the Americans are now exploiting. Audience question: if you were one of the 7 surviving American soldiers, what would be going through your mind as you watched Alvin York advance alone into that storm of bullets? And how would you explain his decision to yourself? Tell me in the comments. The German command, upon receiving initial reports of the incident, struggles to reconcile the sheer number of captured soldiers with the small American force involved. Lieutenant Paul Jürgen Vollmer, the surrendering German officer, later insists that he faced a much larger American contingent, finding it impossible to believe that so few men could have captured so many highly trained German soldiers. This denial is a testament to the psychological impact of Alvin York's actions, which defied conventional military logic. The events of October 8 are a microcosm of the larger Meuse-Argonne offensive, a battle characterized by brutal fighting and heavy casualties. But within this vast, grinding conflict, Alvin York's feat stands out as an anomaly, a moment where individual initiative and extraordinary skill tip the scales against overwhelming odds. The immediate aftermath sees his promotion to the rank of sergeant, a recognition of his leadership and valor in the face of extreme danger. The collection of captured German machine guns, initially reported as 35, is later subject to historical scrutiny. While Alvin York's patrol undeniably silenced multiple machine gun emplacements, official records do not definitively confirm the physical capture of 35 machine guns by his patrol. It is more accurate to state that his actions neutralized key German machine gun positions, allowing for the American advance. Regardless of the exact number of weapons physically brought back, the strategic impact of silencing those guns is undeniable. The tactical details of Alvin York's movements are crucial. His ability to use the terrain, the dense undergrowth, and the fog to his advantage, combined with his exceptional marksmanship, allowed him to approach the machine gun nests largely unseen until he was within effective firing range. He did not engage in a reckless charge but a calculated, methodical assault, leveraging his unique skills. The rapid succession of his shots, targeting the exposed heads of the German gunners, created the illusion of multiple attackers for the disoriented German defenders. The battle for the Dickovo Railroad continues throughout the day, but with the machine gun nests on Hill 223 neutralized, the 328th Infantry gains crucial ground. The German resistance, though still fierce in other sectors, is significantly weakened in this vital corridor. Alvin York's actions have opened a critical pathway, preventing what could have been a prolonged and costly stalemate. The courage displayed by Alvin York is not merely physical, it is a profound moral courage. Having grappled with his conscience and ultimately decided to fight, he then faced the ultimate test of that decision on the battlefield. He chose to act decisively, to confront the enemy head-on, not out of bloodlust, but out of a desperate necessity to save his comrades and achieve the mission. Audience question: if you were Alvin York, having initially sought conscientious objector status, how would you reconcile your F.8 with the deadly actions you were forced to take to save your men and win the day? Tell me in the comments. The German 2nd Württemberg Landwehr Division experienced a hard morning on October 8, 1918. Their infantry regiments were barely holding their positions in the Argonne forest. The terrain, which usually favored the defense, had been turned into a death trap by the American attack up the funnel-shaped valley. Lieutenant Paul Jürgen Vollmer, a highly decorated officer, found his battalion under severe pressure. He had assumed command of the 1st Battalion, 120th Württemberg Landwehr Regiment, whose soldiers primarily hailed from Ulm. Vollmer was directing his troops when his adjutant, Lieutenant Karl Glass, approached. Vollmer was constantly worried about American penetrations, a fear intensified by the «Lost Battalion» incident a few miles to the west. He was initially relieved to hear that elements of the Prussian 210th Reserve Infantry Regiment had arrived at his command post. He hoped these reinforcements would help push back the Americans. However, upon meeting the 210th, Vollmer was appalled to find 70 of their soldiers had laid down their arms, indicating a severe breakdown in their fighting spirit. This context of wavering morale among some German units helps to explain the rapid capitulation of such a large number of soldiers to York's small force. The German official report, The Origin of War Legends, an investigation of the alleged feat of Sergeant York, October 8, 1918, researched in 1929, explicitly attempted to debunk the York story, reflecting the persistent bitterness and disbelief among Germany's military classes that such an event could have happened to their soldiers. Witnesses scorned the American accounts as fiction, even fantasy, illustrating the dramatic irony of the situation. The German command simply could not fathom the reality of Alvin York's actions. The ravine is silent now, save for the distant rumble of artillery and the low murmurs of the captured Germans. Alvin Cullum York stands amidst the disarmed enemy, his Springfield rifle held loosely, his Colt .45 holstered. The immediate, deafening roar of machine gun fire has ceased, replaced by the eerie calm that follows a storm of violence. He surveys the scene. The scattered bodies of German machine gunners, the surrendered officers and men, their faces a mixture of shock, fear, and resignation. His own men, just 7 of them, emerge cautiously from their cover, their eyes wide with a mixture of exhaustion and disbelief at the scale of their achievement. The air is still heavy with the acrid scent of gunpowder and the metallic tang of blood. Alvin York takes a moment, his breath coming in ragged gasps, the adrenaline beginning to recede. He looks at the vast column of prisoners, stretching back into the ravine, a testament to his singular, audacious charge. The morning fog begins to lift, revealing the stark reality of the battlefield, the torn earth, the shattered trees, and the silent, deadly machine guns that only moments ago had held an entire American regiment at bay. He moves among the prisoners, his presence commanding, his gaze steady. He ensures they are disarmed, their weapons systematically collected. The German officers, stripped of their authority, stand impassively, their initial defiance replaced by a grudging respect for the man who had so thoroughly outfought them. First Lieutenant Paul Jürgen Vollmer, the commander who had personally ordered the surrender, meets Alvin York's eyes, a silent acknowledgement passing between them of the extraordinary circumstances that have brought them to this point. Alvin York then gathers his remaining 7 men. He gives clear, concise orders for the assembly and movement of the prisoners. This is not a moment for celebration, but for continued vigilance. They are still behind enemy lines, and the danger remains. The long march back to the American lines begins, a surreal procession through the broken landscape of the Argonne forest. The columns of German prisoners, 132 in total, move under the watchful eyes of 8 American soldiers. As they trek, they encounter scattered pockets of German resistance. Each time, Alvin York's strategy is the same. He forces his prisoners to shout to their comrades, demanding their surrender. The demoralized German soldiers, seeing the overwhelming numbers of their own men already captured, often comply, adding to the growing procession. The column swells, a living testament to the power of a single, decisive action. The journey is slow, arduous, and tense. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every distant sound, could signal a renewed attack. But Alvin York's calm demeanor and unwavering resolve transmit a quiet confidence to his men, and a chilling authority to his captives. They emerge from the German lines, a ragged, triumphant procession, into the stunned silence of the American forward positions. The sight is unprecedented. A small American patrol, leading an entire company of the enemy, captured through sheer audacity and skill. Brigadier General Julian Robert Lindsay, Alvin York's brigade commander, approaches, his face a mixture of disbelief and awe. The exchange is brief, iconic. Alvin York, muddy and exhausted but resolute, simply states the facts. He has accomplished the impossible. The machine guns are silenced, the path is clear, and the enemy has been broken. The decisive moment, born of a personal struggle and forged in the fires of combat, is complete. Alvin Cullum York's actions on October 8, 1918, transcended the immediate battlefield, solidifying his place as one of America's most celebrated heroes of World War I. For his extraordinary valor, he was initially awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. However, after further investigation into the incredible details of his feat, the award was upgraded to the Medal of Honor, the nation's highest military decoration, presented to him by General John J. Pershing. Beyond American recognition, Alvin York received nearly 50 decorations from various Allied nations, including the French Croix de Guerre with Palm, Italy's Croce al Merito di Guerra, and Montenegro's War Medal, underscoring the international impact of his bravery. Upon his return to the United States, Alvin York was hailed as a national hero and an international celebrity. Yet, he remained remarkably humble, consistently downplaying his accomplishments and attributing his survival and success to divine intervention. "It was not manpower but God's power," he often stated. He used his newfound fame not for personal gain, but to benefit his community. He declined lucrative offers for endorsements and appearances, choosing instead to focus on improving the lives of others, particularly the youth in his native Fentress County, Tennessee. Alvin York became a tireless advocate for education, believing it was crucial for preparing the next generation for an increasingly industrialized world. In 1926, he established the York Agricultural Institute in Jamestown, Tennessee, approximately 10 miles from his hometown of Pall Mall. This vocational school aimed to provide educational opportunities for rural children who, like him, had limited access to schooling. He dedicated much of his post-war life to fundraising and overseeing the institute, demonstrating a lifelong commitment to selfless service. His story was immortalized in the 1941 biographical film, Sergeant York, starring Gary Cooper, which further cemented his legend in the American consciousness. Even after the film's success, Alvin York continued to prioritize his educational mission. He passed away on September 2, 1964, in Nashville, Tennessee, at the age of 76, leaving behind a legacy not only of battlefield heroism but also of profound civic dedication. Perhaps one of the most unexpected facts about Alvin York's legacy is the German attempt to discredit his story. In 1929, the German War Ministry, prompted by a Swedish newspaper article lionizing York, directed the National Archive in Potsdam to investigate. The resulting report, titled, The Origin of War Legends, an investigation of the alleged feat of Sergeant York, October 8, 1918, aimed to debunk the American accounts. German officers and soldiers present at the event were interviewed, many expressing disbelief and scorn, finding it impossible that so few Americans could capture so many German soldiers. This German perspective, born of chagrin and denial, ironically serves to highlight the extraordinary and almost unbelievable nature of Alvin York's achievement. If this story moved you, if you think these men deserve to be remembered, leave one word in the comments: valor. Subscribe for a new forgotten story every week.